I've decided to turn this into a video of me just getting all my spots ready, because just one spot at a time wasn't really enough content, so bear with me. There's one thing I've certainly learned over my time hunting, and that's I hate taking multiple trips. So I started using this hard-framed backpack to strap all of my hunting bait on simultaneously, so I could throw it over my shoulders and walk into the woods with one trip. It gets a little heavy, but it certainly helps me get the job done quick and safely. A load this heavy tends to flop around pretty easily, so I've learned to use a couple of roundabouts with the strap, and then I crank it down as tight as I can without ripping the bag, just to make sure the whole load stays exactly where it needs to be while I'm going up and down the hills and getting my way through the woods back to where my stands are. Man, there's so many blueberries around here. This patch coming into my stands, great place. I love just, they are so sweet. I might have to come out here and pick some, because wow, these berries are delicious. This is one of my absolute favorite spots, so I'm really hoping that some of the big deer I had on camera last year show up again this year. So this is an established spot that I had last year. Last year, I hunted right over top of the bait pile. This year, we're not going to do that. I'm going to move that double tree stand way over there, about 150 yards. We're not going to hunt directly over top of bait. We're just going to use this as a food source, because around here, like in the early fall, it's a really good run for them getting back and forth to the oaks. So we've got some oaks mixed in here, but it's predominantly cedar swamp. But there's some oaks. So they'll come straight from over there, and they'll trickle in right over here. There's a trail. And then they'll come right through here, hit the bait pile. And then also, right over here, there's an elevation change. I don't know if you can see it, but it's high up there. For New Jersey, like we're not in the mountains, we're in flat ground. So this ledge right here, last year I watched several bucks funnel right along there on that ledge. So today's mission, we're just gonna get the cameras out, see what deer is still here. I had them out about 2 months ago. I've replenished this mineral site. As you can see, that's what the log, actually that log's still beaten down pretty good too, but it was a full-size log, and that's what we have left. I put Lucky Buck on that back in like end of March, early April. That's what they beat it down to. I've had spots where they go like 3 feet into the ground. This spot isn't it, but some of my biggest bucks I've ever seen come to this spot, so that's why I keep it going. I had multiple big, thick 8s, a couple 10s. And for New Jersey, like, that's phenomenal. Unfortunately, I did not play my cards right. I learned a lot last year, but did not get a chance to shoot any of those. So this year we're going to do things a little differently. We learned from our mistakes. Here's one more spot I have over here. It's targeting the same deer from that laurel patch, but from a different angle. They'll come up over this hill from down there in the thick. So my other stand is over there. That's the trail that they use back there. Now, sometimes, pretty predictably, they'll come in from back there. Only the deer, and it's an evening spot. Or only the doe, it's an evening spot. They'll come in over here. Now I need my wind blowing from this direction towards the road. But when that happens, this is a deadly spot. So many doe come in here. This is my meat spot. You can see where it's kind of thinner right here where I keep my bait pile. This is about 30 yards away, right in that little cove back there. I used to have a ground blind, but I'm looking at that big thick tree right there with a holly right in front of it. I think I'm going to move that 2-seater stand over here. It'll blend in there really well. So I'm going to put some bait out here. Now this one I am going to just sit right over top of the bait because there's no reason not to. If I play my cards right, this is an easy spot to get deer. And unfortunately, in order for me to legally hunt the bucks early season, I gotta kill a doe first. So I'm gonna make it as easy as I can for me. I'm currently walking down the trail to one of my old tree stands. This one's about 45 minutes away from home. Had some of the biggest deer I've ever seen in my life in here. But just coming down, maintaining it, and just coming down and maintaining it has turned into more of a chore than what it's worth. So I'm going to go ahead and pull this stand out of the woods and use it somewhere else. This stand's actually, it's a little on the sketchier side. It's an old stand. It's built like a tank, but I'm going to retire it from the woods and use it in my yard as a target shooting stand. I'd like to be up elevated so I can practice. It's a 17-foot stand, so it'll get me up there and make sure I'm tuned in for the season at an elevated height. These are so dry rotten. Here we go. So this stand I bought from like a yard sale or a flea market. It's definitely rusted. This piece, after buying it, I realized was welded, so this is homemade. I've never been able to get the stand to sit the way it's supposed to. It's always like real far out from this tree. Always had trust issues with it. So that's why I'm going to go ahead and retire it to the yard. So then that way, if anything does happen, I'm home. It's easy for emergency rescue to get to me. I've got my wife there. Like, it's just, as a hunter, you should think about this stuff, but also as a big dude, you should certainly think about this stuff. Like, okay, I'm way smaller than what I was, but my harness is only rated for 300 pounds. And I know that, like, technically they're good for, what is it, 3 times the body weight. But in the back of my mind, I'm sitting here at 290. Like, if I fall out of the tree with force, how much pressure is behind that? Like, I don't know how much fall force that is, but I know it's a lot. And I know I'd rather be home with this stand than out here in the middle of bumblefuck 45 minutes away. That's for darn sure. I might have to just drag this stand out and take it apart by the truck. So I forgot the pliers. I'm going to need to undo this screw. I decided that it would be easier to just walk back to the truck than it would be to drag the whole stand back to the truck. So I went out, got pliers and channel locks, and got it disconnected. this right now. Could not be better hunting conditions. This wind is blowing from the woods right into my face. Going back to where I came from towards the house. There's no deer back there whatsoever, right? So I'm just out here scouting, checking things out. There's a few pinch points I've already located. There's a few golf cart trails that heavily populated with deer tracks. Rubs everywhere, some active rubs already. It looks really, really good. I have never been so stoked about a spot before in my hunting life. Like, this is gonna be a game changer this year, I think. The wind is consistently in my face. So we're almost to the back of this field. Right here. We scooped this out in the golf cart. Now, I would have to guess that this is pretty heavily loaded with action back here, because we've got an entry trail over there, we got a trail over here, and on this trail we started to come through here with the golf cart, but it's pretty overgrown. But pretty quickly I saw this rub right here, but then you got that rub, which not super impressive. Then right here, got another rub. So I didn't investigate too much further back. It's starting to get dark. I wanted to get set up, get my camera set up, and get out of the woods. But I mean, I've just never seen something so promising before. All right, guys, we just came up to the first spot, and the deer have definitely been here. I'm super excited to check this camera and see what's going on. We're 1 week out from when we dropped everything off. I assumed that it would be gone. I'm not sure how long it took for them to clean it up, but they're hitting that block pretty hard. There was a deer scat coming in the trail, so I'm pretty pleased so far. So right now I'm going through. There's nothing really super impressive so far, but I do have this one, 9:24 a.m. Body's not that big. I'd probably let him go. He'll look real good next year. Problem is, this is public woods, and the gun clubs destroy these woods gun week, so he'll probably get shot anyway.